A lot of people are complaining about David AVANESYAN as a challenger for Terence Crawford's 147-pound belt, saying it's not a good matchup. Felix Diaz was supposed to be a good matchup for Terence Crawford. People recognised, who knew boxing on the whole, that Felix Diaz knew how to handle himself in a ring, and Terence beat the crap out of him. See, the thing is, we can say there's been no outstanding challengers, but if you've been a free-weight champion and an undisputed champion in one weight class, you have to ask yourself objectively, is Terence cherry-picking? Or is just no one that good enough to contest him so far? Or is he a special talent? You've had guys like Mikey Garcia not wanting the Crawford fight. Danny Garcia not wanting the Crawford fight. Keith Thurman pricing himself out. Manny Pacquiao, the only PBC fighters they would send over to fight Crawford. One was John Molina, and who was the other one again? Could have been Felix Diaz. Well, the one time the PBC sent one of their A-lister 147-pounders to fight Crawford, that was Sean Porter, and he was stopped for the first time in his career. The same man who gave Errol Spence life and death. The boxing amnesia crew will probably forget that the Victor Postol fight amongst hardcore boxing fans was an anticipated fight. A lot of people were expecting a competitive fight, but Terence turned it into a sparring session, a unification. These are just stats. Some are empirical and some are opinion-based, but the stats are there. They're two common opponents, Kell Brook and Sean Porter. Terence handled them easier than Errol did. Porter actually said he favours Crawford to win. Just comes a point where maybe you got to stop critiquing the opposition a little and start celebrating a special talent. You got pound-for-pound greats. Canelo, James Toney, Tyson have all picked Terence Crawford to beat Errol Spence. And I'm not saying you have to pick Crawford necessarily, because they do. But, the AVANESYAN fight might be one-sided, but the Errol Spence fight against Crawford might be one-sided as well. A lot of people are saying that Crawford and Spence is going to be this great battle. Not necessarily. I see it like this. Spence could win it, but if he does, unless he lands an early punch, he struggles. Crawford, he could win it, and it could be a tough fight. But if anyone is capable of making it easy out of the two, I know who I put my money on. The Eurobum thing, you might take it as a joke, but it is a disrespect to this region of the world. It really is. We've had European champions like Kirkland Lang upset the likes of Roberto Duran at 147. Lloyd Hunnigan was 86 when he went over to Atlantic City and dismantled the pound-for-pound number one in the sport, Don Curry. Yeah, undisputed champion. Colin Jones, very unlucky not to come out WBC World Welterweight Champion when he fought Milton McCrory in America. Good fighter. And that's the Kronk Gym's Milton McCrory. He was 20-0, trained by Manny Stewart. Hardly no British press went over to that Mexican bull ring when John H. Tracy challenged Jose Napoles and was supposed to be the lamb to the slaughter. He stopped Napoles in Mexico. Napoles was a Cuban, but he was adopted by Mexico. And he battered him. And the locals, the residents, weren't happy about it. They weren't happy at all. You had Kevin Lushing, never in a bad fight. Exciting as anything, hard puncher. He nearly had Trinidad out of there. Had him down and hurt. Trinidad knocked him out in the next round. But, Europeans and Brits have had a bad deal. They've had a bad deal in how a lot of people have reported on boxers in this region of the world. David lost to War Machine Kavaliauskas, and people keep repeating this like War Machine is the worst welterweight ever. And he's not. It's a loss. Yeah, it's a loss. Kavaliauskas is a good fighter. Had a controversial draw with Ray Robinson, very capable Ray Robinson, and a lot of people avoided Ray Robinson. And he has an official, if not disputed, knockdown over Terence Crawford, but Terence got up and destroyed him. Terence threw more caution to the wind than he did before he was knocked down. It's almost like he had something to prove. And AVANESYAN has come back well from that Kavaliauskas defeat. In fact, Kavaliauskas beat Mikhail Fox, who was robbed for a WB interim title just the other month. A lot of Crawford's wins are appreciating right now. David is the best European welterweight. Conor Benn, he avoided the smoke. People talking about Keith Thurman. Is Keith Thurman's current form as good as David AVANESYAN's? He came back in 2019 after, what was it, 2 years out of the ring. Struggled against Jose Cito Lopez. Struggled. None of the judges had it a draw. Lost to Manny Pacquiao. Went the distance with Mario Barrios, who was knocked out by the 135-pounder Tank Davis. Whilst David Avanesyan went in Ledger Raja's backyard, undefeated Ledger Raja, destroying everything, and took the European title from him. Then knocked him out in a round in the rematch. Then took Josh Kelly's unbeaten run. I mean, these were touted prospects, some of the best prospects in Europe. And Josh Kelly has since rebounded to become British champion. David Avanesyan is as good a challenger out there right now. Sean Porter, he's past it. Keith Thurman is past it. Danny Garcia, in my opinion, seen better days. Apart from Boots Ennis and Virgil Ortiz, who's more qualified to fight the likes of Terence Crawford right now? Why are you guys being so critical? You're already lining up your critiques. You're already lining them up. You're preparing for Crawford to get the W so you can critique the win. You're already lining up your critiques. And they're unjustified. He's a good European champion. He's had some very good recent wins. Rebounded excellent from the loss. That shows resilience. That shows steel. He's 34, yeah, he's getting on a bit, but he's not over the hill. He's in his prime. He's active, something that Keith Thurman is not. Boots Ennis is not. He's hungry. He hasn't had a taste of them big purses yet. Ranked number 6 by the WBO, 7 by the IBF. Crawford's been out a long time. This is an acceptable voluntary. Avanesyan's a good fighter. Good style, southpaw, always trying to knock somebody out. Never in a bad fight. He hasn't lost since 2018. 6 fights on the bounce, all wins by knockout. I don't care what you want to say. This is a good title challenger. This is a good title challenger. That's the bottom line. One of Terence's best challengers for the title. I think those who are impartial and just wanted to see the Crawford and Spence fight are disappointed it fell through. And they're taking it out on Crawford's next opponent, on his next fight. That's unfair. Now, what the Spence fan base seem more mad about is that they can't keep referring to Crawford as the B-side and you have to take a 20%, 30% split and fight with your hands tied behind your back and all that bullcrap. How dare you walk away from a fight that Al Heyman wasn't trying to make 10 million with this black prime? They're pissed. The fight itself, look, David's going to come out, southpaw stance, high guard, looking to block and counter. Ultimately, he's not elusive enough. He'll get caught with his head up, more than likely, and Crawford should knock him out. But if Crawford makes short work of it, it doesn't mean it's a bad fight. Crawford made short work of all his welterweight challenges. David should be competitive for a few rounds though. He should be. But when Crawford makes adjustments, nobody comes even close. Terence Crawford is one of the most ducked fighters in recent boxing history. And if no one can't see that and ain't prepared to give him a pass for taking a voluntary against this guy here, you got a warped sense of what's right from what's wrong. Unless there's a big upset, people are going to be looking at Crawford's inflated purse and take the event to task. And it should do a good gate in Omaha. But it's them pay-per-view numbers. Like Terence complained that he noticed people couldn't access his last pay-per-view on Top Rank because Aram decided to switch it to a less popular app. Well, how do you access this Black Prime app, streaming app, network? How do you do that? How does America do that? Are they bothering to do that? Probably not. And a likely failure with pay-per-view numbers are going to result in people saying, you see, this is why you were B-side to Errol. You should have let Al Heyman do this, do that. Although Al Heyman had from June until a couple of months back to do something with his fight, and he was unable to. We all know Terence ain't a draw, and unless Spence crosses over to Crawford's side of the street, where he said he's got a bag full of money waiting for him, which easily could resolve the issue to getting their fight done, I don't see what changes. Probably not the best promoted event. The only name recognizable on the undercard is Chris Cyborg.
Oh, shit.
In saying that, Errol Spence is at a point where there might be a stagnation in his numbers. I've heard hardcore Errol Spence fans say, yo, he needs Crawford just as much as Crawford needs him at this stage. This fight needs to be made and fought. I mean, this was a very good title by Boxing Scene, making a point. Crawford, a heavy favourite versus Avanesyan, big underdog against Top Rank's ESPN show, which will see Teofimo Lopez takes on Sandor Martin. Crawford Avanesyan is on the same night, but is charging £40 pay-per-view
on an obscure, at least to boxing fans, network that are apparently putting $10 million in his pocket, which is all good for him. But in terms of expanding his brand, is he going to be doing the viewership numbers? Teo's fighting on ESPN. Teo's going to have eyes on his fight, maybe between 1-2 million. Bud was doing up towards 2 million when he was on ESPN. Regardless, it would be good to see Bud back in the ring. And as for Sandor Martin versus Teofimo Lopez, I posed a question on Twitter. Is Sandor Martin a better boxer than George Kambosos? And they overwhelmingly tweeted back that, yeah, he was. Or is, should I say. Are they perhaps going on the eye test based on Sandor's neat, tidy boxing display against Mikey Garcia? But the only really world-class name that Sandor has on his resume is Mikey Garcia, who retired after being outpointed by Sandor. They've got it as a majority draw, but there's just no way that was an even fight. Sandor outboxed him, clearly. Now he's looking for the scalp of Teofimo Lopez. Now I'm guessing somewhere in 2021, Sandor gave up the European title, another European champion. They shouldn't sleep on Sandor. He's capable of giving Teofimo Lopez a very good contest. I think his lack of firepower ultimately may be his undoing, and perhaps won't be able to bridge that gap between European level and world class. A lot of people are not writing Josh Warrington off. A lot of people are picking, I guess, what would be a minor upset, as it's a hometown fight for Josh Warrington. And I'll assume a lot of the public and mainstream sporting media in the UK have never heard of Luis Alberto Lopez. Josh Warrington, first defence of the IBF featherweight belt he just reclaimed from Kiko Martinez this year. Are a lot of people tipping an upset because Lopez is really good, or are they sceptical after seeing Warrington getting ironed out last year against Mauricio Lara? And although he made a successful comeback from that fight, getting the IBF belt back against Kiko Martinez, he got his jaw broken. How's the jaw going to hold up? Is he totally recovered from the Mauricio Lara TKO loss? Josh, 32, Lopez, 29 years of age, Mexican. Now, Lopez is a good fighter. I've seen him fight a couple of times. He's unorthodox, he's tricky, but he does throw his left foot with his head up in the air at times, leaps in with shots. He is dangerous. Warrington has a height advantage, 3-inch height advantage, and generally looks a lot bigger than Lopez. I think Warrington will try and bully this guy, mixed in with some boxing. What does Josh Warrington do? How does he strategize? Does he go toe-to-toe with this guy, with the Leeds fans roaring him on, as they will be? We know Josh is a good ticket seller. Will he sell out the first direct arena tomorrow in Leeds? It holds around 13,000. Eddie said they sold 10. It's a good crowd. Josh gets very inspired by that crowd. Very rapturous crowd. And it could go two ways for him. I believe that crowd has willed him on to victory against the likes of Carl Frampton, Lee Selby. I think Warrington is a different proposition with that crowd. I'm not going to write Warrington off. I think Warrington will retain his belt, but I do see why people are pulling for the upset. This guy is dangerous. He is dangerous. His last three have ended inside the distance. It's an excellent title fight. And if you're listening to this weekly, you shouldn't sleep on this one. This is one I recommend you watch. It could go two ways for Josh. Like, the crowd could will him on to victory and Josh could come through defeating Lopez with a all-out aggressive two-hand attack. Or he gets involved in a brawl that he might not want to get involved in and gets himself in some serious trouble trying to take liberties with this guy here. If Warrington is going to be aggressive, he's going to need that right hand up high. Because that guy throws them poor man's Nassim Hamid left hooks with his head up. And he gets a lot of power from his legs doing it. It's a good fight. Looking forward to seeing Ebony Bridges versus Shotgun Shannon O'Connell. A lot of bad blood. When I say bad blood, it's all on Shannon O'Connell's behalf. She really dislikes Ebony. So that should be a good grudge match. Looking forward to seeing Felix Cash. Hasn't fought in a minute. He takes on Kelso Neves from Portugal. Has a winning record, but 9 wins, only 2 stoppages, 2 losses. One of them losses was to Patrick McCrory in Belfast. Lost in 2. Felix should come through that with ease. Should do. and set up this Ammo Williams fight, which is what I want to see and others want to see.
Ammo Williams will be in attendance. Will he hop in the ring? Post-fight, we'll see. Ebony Bridges. I haven't seen much of Shotgun O'Connell. I just don't like the height and reach difference between the two. I'll be rooting for Ebony. But I just don't think she'll... I don't know. Are her punches short enough? Can she hide some short punches and work O'Connell to the body and sneak some up to the head? If she needs to wind up too much, that would be in O'Connell's favour. Should be a good fight. I think O'Connell will take the belt though. Jared Anderson, 23 years of age, 12 knockouts, 12 fights. Jerry Forrest, a veteran of 33 fights. 20 inside the distance, 26 wins, 5 losses, 2 draws. 34 years of age. 78-inch reach, 6'1", has only won one of his last 6 fights. Jared Anderson, 6'4", 78.5-inch reach, will be a big favourite to win this. He's had great reviews for his sparring sessions with Tyson Fury, none of which I've been privy to. In this Boxing Scene article, he acknowledges that he needs rounds. Now, if anyone is capable of giving him them rounds, it's Jerry Forrest. Forrest threatens to take Jared into deep waters like he does everyone else and see how he does. He spoke about how he sent veterans to hospital. He said Michael Hunter hasn't fought again after their disputed draw, which in my opinion, Forrest won. He won the fight. He arguably beat Zhilei Zhang them early knockdowns. Bailed Zhilei out, basically. These are good results. They're good results. He's got a split decision loss to Jermaine Franklin, who a lot of people will argue beat Dillian the other day. These are good results. But at the same time, the fickle nature of the boxing fan and media will point out that Forrest has only won 1 of his last 6. And if Jared struggles, boxing fans and media will be right there, waiting to pounce. There's no hiding place these days. It looks like good matchmaking. I think Jared will win. But it's not so much debating on whether he'll get the W. It's how he looks, really, isn't it? It really is how he looks. Like, there are no triangle theories as such, but you have to hold the barometer to measure how well he did against Forrest compared to the likes of Zhang, Hunter, or even a Carlos Takam, who defeated him in 2020. Takam is not so dissimilar to Jerry Forrest. Roughly the same size, not the same physique. Like, Takam built like a brick house. Roughly the same height and reach, though. And has been a good trial horse, you know, like last time out, he took the guy they were hyping up, Makhmudov, the full 10. Takam took a couple of counts. And if it wasn't for the knockdown, the scorecards could have been interesting. Let me just say that. Jerry Forrest will know that he's not been brought in to win. And I don't know how much notice he's had. But fights like this, often the results are determined by how much ambition is Jerry really going into this fight. Is it just some Christmas money? Is he in shape? And if so, what kind of shape? Forrest is claiming that he went into the Pulev fight with a rib injury. And that was a crucial fight for Forrest at that stage there. Like, he was coming off the 2 draws with Michael Hunter and Zhilei Zhang. Surely he had a shot at beating a 41-year-old Pulev who was inactive for the whole of 2021. His last fight before Jerry Forrest was when he got knocked out by Anthony Joshua in 9. But he managed to take Jerry Forrest to school in a way that Zhilei Zhang and Michael Hunter couldn't. And these are contenders. Now, the rib injury, is there any validity to that? Did that hamper his performance? Or is the ambition just drained out after losing so many times? And this is what Bob Arum and the top-ranked matchmakers are banking on. That they've caught Forrest at the opportune time. You know, an early round stoppage or even a late stoppage. He'll only be the second man to stop Jerry Forrest. Forrest had 33 fights. The only man to stop him was Gerald Washington in 2014. But yeah, that would look good. That would look good on Anderson's record, stopping a guy who's just come off disputable decision losses to ranked contenders like Zhilei Zhang and Michael Hunter. It seems funny calling a fight against an opponent who's only won 1 of his last 6 a step up. But that's what it is. A stoppage will announce that he's perhaps ready to take on top 10 opponents. A struggle will probably keep him at the journeyman trial horse level. But you got to say a win for Jared Anderson. 12 knockouts in 12. This could tell us about what kind of puncher he is. I'm not sure how much the first 12 fights he's had have told us about him being a big puncher. Should also tell us what kind of fighter he is, how well he boxes, and a few more intangibles perhaps.